So we've got targets at 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60 metres.
I think that may be optimistic, but
We'll find out.
we'll soon see.
Okay.
Let's go. 268.6, 267.3, 262.1, 266.3, 268.
20.
There's the cost.
30. Oh, nearly.
Oh,
40.
wow.
50. I must do this regularly, Phil.
Almost as if you've been here before.
Going for the 60.
I will give you a 10 if you hit that 60.
Right, Phil, your turn.
Oh God. I was going for 60 then, but it's more the shooter than the equipment, I believe.
So shooting flat at the 60 metre target, they were landing at 55 metres. Okay, which is pretty good.
It's not bad for
Pretty solid, isn't it?
You know, what is it, 6-inch barrel, if that, 4 or 5 inches
Yep.
even. Fun. It's actually not. It's easier than. Yeah, it is easy. You can pull it much tighter into your shoulder. Does seem to keep it on target a bit better as well. A little bit less climb. It's not so heavy, especially with the mag in, that you can't shoot it.
Particularly, we've got a B&T tracer unit on.
Yeah.
If we didn't have a tracer unit on, it'd be a lot smaller anyway. Something
then,
I really
Tom.
like, Phil,
Mhm.
I know obviously this is one of the major parts of the design, is that there's this shroud on the back,
Yeah.
which is non-reciprocating, which makes it really easy, particularly with the stock, to pick up your red dot.
Yes.
What you can find is some trouble with pistol red dot sometimes is actually acquiring it.
Yeah.
But with the stock, super easy just to acquire the
It
acquire
does
the red
go
dot.
right
It
naturally
goes
to
right
the eye,
right into the eye,
and you know it's not going to move.
and it's there.
Yeah.
And obviously it doesn't jump around when it's firing because it's on this shroud. So
Yeah.
this is something I really like. Right, I'm joined by Gareth Gadge Harvey, who again is wearing his ASG hat, and he's going to talk to us about the B&T ASG USW.
Yeah,
Is that enough?
yeah,
enough?
enough three-letter acronyms. Tom, we're really excited about this. It's the new B&T USW A1
Yep.
From ASG. It's basically a perfect 6mm airsoft replica of the USW, which is designed to give sort of counter-terrorist operatives that little bit more range when they might be fighting against someone with a proper submachine gun or an assault rifle. So while it's essentially a very normal pistol in many ways, it's got some great features. So as you can see, that side stock flicks out at the push of a button,
Yep.
giving an operator far more sort of like range and flexibility. The rear mounted sight is non-reciprocating, so you don't have to worry about reacquiring that red dot quite so badly each time. It's pretty much comes back.
And even we were just having a go on the practical range here at Thurliston, and it's much easier to acquire the red dot with the stock out than it is without the stock out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people use it with the stock out as default. 14mm threaded barrel,
So that's your standard airsoft thread.
so you can fit a barrel extension tubes, tracer units, whatever you need to do really. And then lastly, there's a 20mm rail on the underside, so if you wanted to, you could just clip on, for example, this is a genuine B&T flashlight.
So at the heart of it is a Shadow 2, is that correct?
It's got a lot of commonality with the Shadow 2.
Right.
So it's using the same hop-up system. It strips pretty much like a hop-up Shadow 2. And more importantly, it uses the SPO1 magazines and the Shadow 2 magazines.
Okay.
As well as a 50-round magazine just for the USW we're bringing out later. And I imagine, because of compatibility, the 50-round mag will work on the Shadow 2 as well. So if you're used to a Shadow 2, you won't find many surprises with the USW.
Right, so the question I'm going to get in the comments, so I'm going to ask you, is there a holster available for it?
Well, there is, and the actual proprietary holster is a little bit expensive because you have to buy a real deal one. And obviously it's something we always like to have a matching holster for a gun, but getting them sourced, getting them licensed out properly, it's not something we have right now.
So who do you see this marketed for?
I kind of think it's going to be a bit of a CQB classic in its own time over time. I also think a lot of snipers will like it as a backup because, as you saw in your range testing, you were getting shots out to 50 metres at a torso-sized target.
Yeah.
And with that stock on as well to give you that stability and the reliability. I mean, we put several mags through it today without any stoppages whatsoever.
Yeah, it's doing really well. Yeah, and as you said earlier, with even with this little stock out, it really does add to the consistency of shot, and you can acquire the red dot really easily.
Yeah. The other nice thing about it as well, and of course you have to have this with a non-reciprocating bit, you've got these massive serrations here, so even in wet weather you're not going to slip with that initial rack inside, to get going.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, I've brought along just to show you, and you've probably seen in the other shooting, that's the actual CO2 mag it comes with.
Yep.
And that is a Shadow 2 green gas mag, and as you can see they're actually dimensionally exactly the same.
Yeah. And we've tried these out and they work really, really well.
So it doesn't mean you have to buy a whole new lot of mags if you already have a Shadow 2. It's a bit of a bonus really. Okay,
so the Shadow 2 is single double action.
Yep.
So you can fire it with a long trigger pull, or if you pre-cock it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the same. There is a hammer-fired mechanism there, concealed by that non-reciprocating shroud.
Okay. Gaz, what's the mounting for the red dot?
It's a standard 20mm Picatinny.
Right, so you can...
Yeah, so you're not limited by the particular red dot use. It will take pretty much any optic. If you want to be silly, you could put a huge scope on there, but I don't think many people will.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're not running a red dot, are there any other sighting systems?
There's actually an aperture groove on the actual 20mm rail itself, which you can line up against that ramped foresight.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't use the foresight with that suppressor on because it's going to obstruct your point of view. But if you were just using it as a very light pistol with nothing else on, it aims the same way as any other sort of.
When you take all of this stuff off, it actually turns into quite a small package.
Yeah, it essentially it is the universal service weapon as it's called. It's supposed to be a pistol with a little bit of extra punch at range. So you can probably see there, Tom, the way you're handling it. It's quite a comfortable grip with that rubberised grip.
Yep.
And that's based around a metal frame and slide as well, so it's pretty rugged. You're not going to smash it up if you accidentally drop it.
Yep, so the slide's metal, the frame's metal, bottom of the grip's metal, and obviously there's a rubberised grip panel
and there's
on the back.
very, very slight finger grooves and cast into that. So internally, Tom, there's a few things you can't see there as well. So it uses a very similar buffer and return spring to the Shadow 2, but this time we made it captive. So if you have to take off the top side to adjust your hop up in the middle of a game day, you won't be searching around for a spring that's ejected itself over. Tiny little things, and again, you can see that's really, really well lubricated and quite sort of
it's very
smooth.
Very smooth finish.
So there's going to be no abrasion there at all when that slide's going backwards and forwards, because the rate of fire you can get on single shot with that is quite impressive anyway.
It's different.
It's different. It's nice. It's actually very...
You were a little bit sceptical when you first turned up, but I think you've warmed to it, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I can see it being very useful. More as a carbine. I think more people are going to use it sort of decked out like this with the stock out rather than running it as a pistol and dropping it out. So CQB games.
I just want to run super light at any sort of game, really.
Yeah,
it's got the range to be perfectly fine in woodland or...
You can use it anywhere, really. You're not going to be at a disadvantage range-wise. And we were getting quite a few charges really out of a single mag. I know it's quite warm today, but there's nothing to say really that you shouldn't get at least 2 full mags out of a single gas charge or bulb, and having the CO2 or green gas capability straight away is a real plus, I think, as is the 14mm thread, because as we know a lot of pistols have 11mm threads, which makes
you have to get adapters or different barrels.
Yeah, you have to get a new outer barrel or whatever, so having that straight off the bat as the sort of industry standard negative 14mm opens up a whole range of different accessories that you can put on the front. I like how with the stock, when you pull it up to the shoulder, your eye falls directly on the red dot, so you don't have to really, sometimes with pistols and red dots it's quite a different style of aiming to just using iron sights.
You have to retrain yourself to pick up the red dot. Yeah.
Exactly, and this it all is, it's very ergonomic. It fits in the shoulder, and everything is where you need it to be when you do that. But I do think, most people are going to run it like that.
Yep.
They're not going to have to worry about a holster.
I think a lot of people will use it as a primary, and then snipers DMR users use it as a backup.
I think it's a really nice little gun.
So we haven't got a retail price yet.
No.
But we think it's going to be somewhere around 200, 190, 200 pounds.
Which I think is perfectly reasonable. You could buy a Marui Glock for 140. So for what you actually get, metal frame, metal slides, extendable stock, ability to put any red dot on because it's Picatinny rail.
Please like, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, follow Clearwater Airsoft or Anvil Airsoft TV.
Yep.
Most importantly, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Exit stage left.